Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 25 of the RocknRoll Beer Guy Podcast. This episode is brought to you by Audible. If you go to audibletrial.com/RRBG, you can get a free 30-day trial and a free audiobook from their selection of over 180,000 titles. This podcast is also brought to you by Blue Apron. If you go to RocknRollBeerGuy.com, there's a link there that says Blue Apron. Click it, and you'll get $30 off your first order plus free shipping. In this episode, I talked to Dallas Thomas. He plays guitar in the band Pelican and the Swan King. We talk about how he met the guys in Pelican and his time in the band, how they're working on a new album and tour, his old band Ass Chapel, and we talk a little bit about beer and politics. I had a great time talking to him, and I hope you enjoy. Cheers. Welcome, everyone, to the RocknRoll Beer Guy Podcast. I'm here with Dallas Thomas of the band Pelican.
What's up? How's it going, man?
Doing all right. How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. I just woke up from a nap, so if I'm a little slow going, I apologize.
Oh, no worries. So, you guys are in the middle, or I read that you guys are working on a new album?
Yep. Yeah, actually, our Larry, the drummer, is flying into Chicago this week, and we're going to be kind of sifting through some ideas, and hopefully we can get some stuff done. We were hoping to have it done this year, but one thing has been coming up after another. So more realistic, if we keep on the same path, it's probably going to be next year before we record, because we're going to do some tour dates in the fall. So maybe we're going to see how this week goes, and we might try to test out some of those on some of the shows. You know, that might be kind of a good way to demo them, is like kind of rotating a couple of them through the set list. But we got to see if they're going to work, because we do a lot of just emailing files back and forth, So
yeah.
Sometimes that's where you're like, hey, it sounds good. But then when you play it all in the room together, you got to make adjustments, or sometimes it doesn't work and that kind of stuff. So that's what we've kind of been in the middle of juggling. So, yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, you joined the band in 2012, right?
Yeah, I guess officially I did. I started playing with them in 2011.
Okay.
Like, I kind of just started filling in. And then Laurent, their original guitar player, he just decided he just really didn't want to play music at all anymore. So he kind of just took a hiatus from music. It wasn't even necessarily he just quit Pelican. He just kind of stopped playing and focused on his career and his family, So it was kind of an amicable split or anything. And I'd already was just kind of filling in. And I guess don't fix it if it's not broke. So that's kind of how it happened. Just kind of fell into it.
Yeah. And I know at first you weren't writing, but for this new album, you're writing bass lines?
Yeah. So kind of with the last one, I kind of came in on the tail end of Forever Becoming, and I contributed to about like 3 of the songs. I mean, I played on all of it, but they had already kind of started, the 3 of them had already kind of started writing, and there was a couple of songs that I was around that I kind of contributed to, finished up or whatever. But yeah, this is the first record as far as a clean slate goes. So, yeah.
Cool. Can we expect maybe not a change in sound, but, just maybe something new with your influence in it? It might take it in a different direction?
It's still kind of coming together. I would say, as it's going right now, it's kind of a continuation of Forever Becoming, I would say. I would say it's not anything too drastic away from that, but it is kind of going in different directions, and we're kind of sifting through stuff, and so yeah, so we'll just kind of have to see. I don't know. So far I'm really into the way it's going, but there's just been a lot of just everyone's personal life has kind of been chaos. There's been a couple of kids born, and my father had just passed away, and I was going back and forth to Nashville, kind of he was sick for a while, so that kind of put me out of the loop for a minute. So we're now just kind of...
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, so now we're just kind of getting back in the groove of it. So hopefully this week we'll get a lot done, and then playing these shows here in the fall. Hopefully that'll kind of keep the momentum going, and we can hopefully be in the studio early next year, I would hope. That's what I hope. But we don't want to rush it. We're not we're not on the deadline, which could be good and bad, I guess. But we don't really have to settle on anything until we're all happy with it. But yeah. Yeah,
you don't have any contractual agreements with a label or anything.
There, they did have one. I know there's already a contract with Southern Lord, and that was signed before I was a part of it. But that's definitely where we're probably going to go.
Gotcha.
So yeah, we just got to finish it. But Southern Lord is really cool. They're not pressuring us to crank something out. They want it to be right. So. Sure.
Yeah, I need a 3.5-minute song with some pop vocals on it, guys.
Yeah, it's not like that. So it's it just, Greg doesn't want any garbage, so he wants us to do something good. So yeah, so we don't have that pressure, but I kind of feel like we need some sort of deadline. But it's coming along. It's coming on real solid. So, and it's been very collaborative, pretty equally. Everyone's kind of been, and so I guess it has changed the dynamic a little bit, because Laurent was a big part of the writing process with him.
Sure.
So, it is kind of it's a different dynamic, but it's. I don't think it's a total departure. It's not like you would hear it what is this? So
yeah.
But still doing something new. It's like, so yeah.
That's cool, man. Yeah, and you said you mentioned you're going on tour in the fall. You're going with Inner Arma and Jay Jail.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. Yeah, especially I've been jamming that Inner Arma, that last record they did quite a bit. And that Jay Jail stuff's really good too. So yeah.
I remember seeing Jay Jail with I believe it was Sumac out here, and they were incredible. And you guys don't have an LA date?
No, because it was kind of the deal for us to play the Psycho Las Vegas. It was some kind of kind of a radius clause thing, but they were okay with us playing San Diego. So on this run,
Well, that works. I think I'm planning on going to Psycho Las Vegas.
Okay.
I got too many homies playing, There's Mastodon dudes are playing, and Sumac is playing. So Chemist, I think, is playing as well. So I'm pretty stoked.
Yeah. We're gonna hopefully be able to catch some of the stuff on the second day, but yeah, I wish we had time to hang out for the whole thing. It's like what's always crazy when you get on some of these festivals, you see the line, you're like, awesome, and then it's just like you're kind of struggling to see hopefully 3 or 4 bands before you got to go to the next show,
Sure. So tell me a little bit about Ass Chapel.
Well, that's pretty much my old band from when I was in Tennessee. They kind of that led me to Chicago. I don't know how to wrap that up in a short story, but yeah, I started that with some friends in Nashville back in '99, and then we were a band until 2006, where we kind of dissolved. And pretty much, let's see how I can give the cliff notes of it. So I had met on when Ash Chapel played some shows with Minsk, and I befriended Sanford Parker. And he lived in Chicago, and after Ash Chapel kind of dissolved, he was like, dude, come up to Chicago and check it out. So I just kind of on a whim came up here to Chicago, and I kind of recorded on some sessions with him, and I started a band up here called the Swan King, and then we practiced next door to Pelican. So that's how we pretty much met those dudes and ended up playing a show opening up for Pelican. And then a few months later, I was actually filling in for them, and then ended up in the band. Then fast forward a couple years, Pelican goes on tour with Goat Snake, which Greg from Southern Lord is in. And he got to ask me, how did you, get hooked up with these Pelican dudes? And I was like, well, I used to play in this band called Ash Chapel. And he's like, Ash Chapel? He's like, God. He's like, I keep hearing that. I need to hear it. Send it to me. So I sent it to him, and he loved it. So he reissued the whole discography back last year. So yeah, that was kind of cool, because that was a very important, influential time of my life. So to have that all remastered and documented and out on Southern Lord, very definitely special to me, or I don't know, important. I'm glad it got a proper release, because kind of when we were a band, we kind of started getting some traction to people finding out about it. And once people started finding out about us, we broke up. Kind of that classic story.
Yeah, that's a classic story for sure.
Yeah, it just seems like if you can get over that hump, I don't know. But it's just sometimes by the time you start getting recognition, you're broke, you're sick of each other, you're sick of the songs, and but yeah.
It is terrible the way the smaller bands have to deal with stuff like that. Like, hey, we're all broke, we're all angry. It's not going the way we originally planned or whatever. But
yeah, with Ash Chapel, it just kind of fell into it. Like it just, I don't know. It was just I guess we gained enough interest to kind of keep doing it for a while. We were a band 7 years, but not really enough for it to sustain.
Yeah.
And it just kind of stopped being fun, Yeah.
So. Well, it's funny. I had not heard of the band before. Actually, our mutual friend, the guy, he put us together, Sam Riggins.
Yeah. He
was telling me a story about how, they were at a show with, he was at a show with Brent from Mastodon, and Brent was like, dude, Ash Chapel's the future.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Like a lot of bands, like, in bands that went on to get bigger, always liked us. Like that, but we never kind of crossed over to like, I don't know, like a wider audience. It always seemed like our fans were bands, like other bands. They're like a band fan, or wherever you say that, I don't know what I was trying to say, but yeah, it just kind of, that's how it worked out. But it's always kind of stuck around. I mean, even the touring I've done with Pelican, I run into people all the time like, dude, you were Ash Chapel. It's like, So it just kind of lingered on, and so the fact that Southern Lord put that out is pretty awesome, man. I feel like, we at the time, I guess I didn't, when you were in the middle of it, I didn't realize kind of maybe how good it was at the time, but like 10 years later when we were going back, getting all the masters together, I just like, you have, I guess, a more objective perspective, and I was like, man, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like you have like a fresh perspective where I was like, man, this is better than I remembered it being. I don't know. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, I mean, once you remove yourself from that, from that world for a little bit, and you come back to revisit it, it's always impressive, Yeah,
at the time, people wrote us off for our band name too. I think, and so that made us a better band in a way. Like we're just like, so we play like 3 times as harder,
Sure.
So just like, but it's just one of those things, man. Maybe at the time, maybe I should have been like, no, man, this is awesome. Maybe we would have done better. I don't know. Instead of like, in retrospect, kind of being like, damn, we were badass.
Yeah, it's funny. It is kind of a curse too. My band suffered the same thing where, all our fans were band members instead of, a general audience.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I don't understand how it works, man. It's just you kind of what people like, so you just kind of got to do what you like and hope for the best. That's all you can do.
Yeah, that's important, man. A lot of, I love music, and just being around musicians all the time, it makes me realize, like, just, you can't please everyone. It's just not a thing that you can do. Yeah, I was thinking about music as a whole. Like, it's hard to please everyone, so you have to focus on your own music and how you want to do it. But at the same time, if you want to become a successful band, like, you got to do something, a little hook here or there. I don't know how to explain it, but like, it's not about conforming or changing your style. It's just making it digestible, I guess.
Yeah, well, That's definitely a challenge for me when I write for Pelican. I just don't feel, or not yet, I still don't feel comfortable like writing a whole Pelican song. Like,
Right.
if that makes, because they're an established band, and I took over for someone who was kind of literally started the band.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like a fragile thing where there's already this fan base, that you want to nurture. So kind of how I've approached that is I kind of usually just do riffs. Like, I just kind of like clusters of riffs and send it to those guys. And that seems to be kind of working. And then they mangle them or, rearrange stuff or add stuff on it, and then it bounces back. And that's kind of the way it's been progressing,
Yeah.
As far as anything that I'm contributing, as like, I don't come in with just like a fully arranged song. Like, I don't feel like it. I feel more comfortable everyone getting their fingerprints on it and it being very collaborative and evolving that way. But that takes a lot more time, if that makes sense.
For sure. Yeah, because you got to piece it all together and make it make sense. It's a lot harder than if you were all in the same room and you could just be like, no, tweak this, tweak that,
Yeah, but you can't really control how people react to it,
Yeah.
It's like, but I try to be conscientious of that. I want it to still stay true to what originally started. But we'll see.
Yeah. So for those, for the people that are listening that are not familiar with Pelican, like, is there a specific theme or something that goes with the music? Like, is there a vibe or a theme with the music? I mean, it is all instrumental, but is there something you guys are trying to achieve with the sound?
Well, it seems like it gets kind of, it definitely kind of gets lumped in with post-rock for sure. So it has that post-rock element, but then you kind of still, the early stuff was really heavy. So you still kind of get this metal kind of crossover. So it kind of gets blurred between like heavier, like, hardcore and metal and heavier rock stuff, and then more, dynamic post-rock. And, so, and trying to, be and take from all of those things, it seems like where the progression of the band is pretty much gone. Where I come in, I actually come more from the heavier side of things. Mm-hmm. So that's where I try to kind of put where I feel more, useful is more in the heavier stuff. And then for more of the like post-rock stuff, Trevor seems to have a little better sensibility of writing those kind of things. And I kind of just lay back and it pushes me to play stuff different than I'm not really comfortable playing. So, and having the long distance part is always
challenging.
That's another thing that's challenging, because usually like before a show or a tour, we only get one practice in the room together,
Jeez.
like one practice or maybe two for lucky.
Yeah.
So,
wow.
And so especially if you're trying to write and then the only time you get together is to play shows, you got to work up the set list and then try to like work on new stuff. But, and you're dealing with flying and, so when last time I went to Europe, we flew to Berlin, and Larry's flight got delayed and we didn't even get to practice, and we had to like get up early and practice like that morning before the first show, with jet lag. And yeah, so that's definitely been the most interesting part of joining Pelican, is dealing with the long distance part and then still and have everything together, but not like really when we get in the room together, it's very valuable time. So, but it is nice that we're actually going to get to work this week and we don't have a show, that we're just going to work on new stuff. So that's kind of, those times are kind of hard to come by with us, with everybody's chaotic lives.
No, I hear you. And as you get older, it gets more difficult too. And
yeah,
people with families.
Yeah, I got a 1-year-old and she's all over the place, and yeah. So yeah, we're pretty much 3/4 a dad rock band at this point.
So what do you do when you're not doing music? Because like I can imagine, you got to have a day job of some sort or a career to maintain a family with a child and everything. And
yeah, I'm pretty lucky on that avenue. I'm pretty much a Mr. Mom right now.
Oh, okay.
I was working I was doing production work, and I worked at the animal shelter for a while. But man, daycare is so expensive. Yeah. It's so expensive, and it was it was more money than I was making. All my money would have just gone to daycare. So, and my wife does good enough to float us for a while. So I've been staying home with the little one.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good.
And then tour when we can.
Yeah, I was gonna say, how do you guys work it out when you go on tour?
We just my mother-in-law, actually, she'll come stay. Oh. Gives her excuse to come hang with my daughter. I think the other guys have other arrangements. I'm not sure, but we make it work when we can.
Gotcha. Do you feel as you're getting older that your taste in music, where are you at with your taste in music? Because a lot of my dad only listens to what he listened to, and that's it. He has no room for new music. And it seems like it's starting to happen to me too, where new music is just not clicking with me at all.
Yeah, interesting story. So, now that I stay home a lot, I get kind of stir crazy. So I've actually been listening to a lot. I'm buying more records lately just because I'm at home a lot more to actually listen to them, And and then I got a whole bunch of my dad's records, that I acquired, and just it was crazy listening to them with my daughter. That I remember him playing those records for me as early as I can remember, Yeah. So So I guess in a way I am listening to old Jimi Hendrix records and stuff, and stuff that he played in Led Zeppelin records when, as far as back as I can remember. Yeah. As far as new stuff, I kind of try to keep up on Spotify. Every year I'll start a playlist for that year, and when I see a band or a record, that someone posts up on social media, I'll bookmark it on Spotify to check it out. And then when I don't know what to listen to, I'll go to that playlist and hit shuffle. And that tries to cover as much ground to keep up with what's going on now. Because I think there's just as good music as there always had. It's just you gotta sift through it.
Yeah, I think there's just a lot more music now. That's the issue with me. There's just so much.
Yeah, it's basically how I go about it. I demo stuff on Spotify, or I listen to Spotify when I'm on the go. But if I really like something, I usually buy it on vinyl.
Sure.
And listen at home. Usually I only listen to Spotify if I'm on the go. At home, I don't know. It's weird. I have a little Sonos, and it sounds good, but I find myself listening to records. I'm not one of those guys that necessarily says that vinyl always sounds better. I don't have a nice enough sound system for that.
Yeah.
I feel it can if you spend thousands of dollars.
Sure.
But it's still, I don't know. I think there's something about the artwork and just the template, and I'm glad that it's kind of hip and come back again. I think it's cool. I think it's a fun thing to collect, and it's just a good template for art. And I think that sometimes for me I feel like it sounds better by looking at the artwork. I feel like that there's maybe there's some kind of psychological term for that, but just the association of what something looks like and sounds like, kind of important to me. I don't know.
No, it's super important. I mean, the band is putting forth effort into creating the artwork as well, so it's super nice to have that together. Kind
of what's funny, most records now are actually mastered digitally. You're actually listening to a digital file pressed on
vinyl. Yeah.
Very few records are actually an analog tape that's burnt to a record, or a cut to a lacquer. So you're actually I would say, I don't know what the actual number is, but you're actually listening to a high-res file cut into a lacquer.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But it still sounds good, It's I like digital and I like analog. I think they have their benefits and pitfalls too. So.
Well, what do you think about some of the bands that are, more popular these days in terms of using Axe Effect and more of the less amps on stage and more just digital? How do you feel about that?
I guess it depends on the band. It is weird. I've seen some bands where they have like the Axe effects and there's no cabs and they're wearing in-ears.
Yeah,
I do think that's kind of. I think that's kind of weird. Like I think I'm not above using an Axe effects. I just can't afford one. Well, I can probably get one, but then if the thing goes down, you're screwed. You know, so you need two of them. You know what I mean? Because you program all that stuff, and it goes down on you to show. What are you going to do if you don't have another one? Right. So I would say at least run a cab. Like if you're going to use that stuff, like at least have like a 412 and a power amp on stage and put some stage volume at least. But that would be my only opinion about it, as long as it sounds good. But like you go watch a band on the side stage and they're doing modeling amps and in-ears, all you hear is the drums.
Oh yeah, I know.
Like that's my only hang up. I'm like, dudes, once you got some monitors, so just I don't know. You got like 30 people hanging out here on this stage that can't hear anything.
My buddy Adam from Killswitch, he gives me shit about that all the time because I like watching him from the stage. And then they don't have any sound, no monitors, everything's in ear. So I told him the other day, I'm like, dude, can you get a monitor for us? And he's like, no, fuck you, get in the crowd.
Oh, that's a good argument too, I guess. Yeah, fair enough. But I've heard bands, more and more bands have used those. I guess my only hang up is that thing going down, or or it decides to update in the middle of a show because it's pretty much a computer. So that would be my only kind of. But if a band wants to use one, it sounds good. Like King Crimson uses those, and it sounds great. So yeah, yeah.
All right, to switch gears a little bit. So we have a mutual friend, Sam. He is a brewer, so I'm assuming you like craft beer.
Yeah, I'm not above drinking piss if that's all that's around, but I'm not too fancy with beer. Actually, Trevor from Pelican, he would be the guy to talk to if you want to get super crafty. But actually a beer though that there's a North Coast, the Scrimshaw. I've been getting that one. There's like kind of a really nice bar down the street, and they recommended it, and that one. And then actually the Metropolitan Crankshaft is I like that, and that's actually a Chicago brewery that Sam's friends with too.
Very cool.
But I'm not above drinking High Life either. Like I'm not too much on ciders. I guess as fancy and as frou-frou as I get, I sometimes like those raspberry lambic. I think it's Ludemans.
Oh, Lindemans. Yeah.
Lindemans, yeah. So yeah, those yeah. And then let's see what Great Lakes, the Ohio brewery.
You get much into Three Floyds?
And then Surly. What was that?
Three Floyds. Have you had any of their beers?
Yeah, I have. But I haven't drank some Three Floyds in a while. I know we've had a couple of Pelican beers made by them. But yeah, it's been a minute. So like the Zombie Dust. Actually, maybe I need to drink some Three Floyds. It's been a while since I picked up a 6-pack of that.
I didn't know they had made a Pelican beer. That's awesome.
Yeah, they made 2. Yeah.
God. Those guys, they make beer with like my favorite bands. That's what they. If I lived up there, that's probably where I'd work. I'd love to work there.
I've only met those guys like one time, but definitely, I think Trevor, he knows those guys pretty well.
Cool. What are your preferred styles? Like, I know you said you like the Lindemans Lambic, but
kind of depends. Actually, it's weird. Like in the summertime, I like more light beers, like a Pilsner, lager. Like probably when it's hot out, like I would, definitely lighter beers, like a Pivo Pils. And then I like just Dos Equis lager. Go with that. Was it Czechvar?
Which one?
I think it's Czechvar. I think that's. I think it's a Czech Pilsner. That's really good. And in the wintertime, I just like the Guinness in the cans. As far as that goes, I don't get too fancy on the stouts. I'm pretty generic. I'll just go with the Guinness.
Okay.
I'm fine with that. I'm sure some beer snobs would give me grief about it and tell me it's not as good as it is in Ireland, but hey, I'm not in Ireland, so.
Exactly, right. Yeah, it's not much you can do about that.
Yeah. So, but I like beer. I'm not too much on like ciders. I mean, I think they taste great most of the time, but I usually just get a headache. I usually next day, I don't know.
Well, there's a lot of sugar in it.
I can't metabolize. Yeah, man, like I get a headache really easy with that. I can drink beer all day and be fine. And then if I could drink a few of those, I'm just pounding my head is pounding the next day.
Yeah.
So. For
sure.
I don't know what kind of beers you drinking. What's like your kind of go-to? Like, are you a seasonal guy or?
I not really. I drink everything all the time because I mean I've been in the industry for a long time, so it's just one of those things that for the most part I like to drink IPAs, more of a mellow, balanced IPA, not too aggressive or crazy. But yeah, I'll drink anything, dude.
Yeah. Have you heard that Scrimshaw? Have you had the North Coast beer?
Yeah.
Yeah, here lately I've really been craving that, and then it looks like the store down the street stopped carrying it. It's like,
Yeah, I mean, I don't hear much from North Coast outside of like Old Rasputin and Scrimshaw, but it's like the Rasputin is still one of the best stouts out there, and I really liked that they were doing some of the barrel aged versions.
Yeah,
and those are all fantastic. So
yes, yeah, one day it's been a while since I had it. So one there was like 9%.
Yeah.
I drink. It's been a while since I've gotten a hold of one of those. They got a hold of me a couple of years ago. So a friend at a bar would just feed me some of those, man. I could barely walk out of there.
Well, for the thing, it's not seasonal for me. It's more depending on what I'm doing. So if I'm home chilling, I'm gonna go for a big stout or a sour at a game or at a concert or something. Usually a light IPA or session IPA or a Pilsner or a lager,
or whatever piss they have available.
yeah, whatever. If it's a base,
$10 like 12 ounce of Bud Light.
Yeah, dude. And one thing out here, the concerts are fucking brutal, dude. Like you want a 12 ounce of an IPA at a show here, it's gonna cost you like $16. It's insane.
Yeah, but sometimes it depends on the event. It's like you might spend $2 or $3 more and get way better of a beer. They still might be charging $12 for High Life.
Sure. Well, my issue is it's not an issue. My MO is to show up with a cooler full of beer, and if I can get it into the show, then that would be essential. Like that way, hang out with the bands in the back and drink, with whoever wants to drink it. But a lot of times I don't know how to explain it. It's rough for me to ask for that. Hey man, I want some backstage passes. It's not because I'm a fanboy. It's just because I want to drink beer with you.
I think that. So you're saying like go backstage and drink all the band's beer? Is that what you're saying?
Oh no! I was saying
no, the opposite.
The opposite. Yeah, I like to show up. I like to show up with a cooler for the band, and let's drink, dude.
Yeah, I've had my times where I've been bad about that, so I kind of don't. If that happens to us, I don't really get mad about it. As long as I get a couple, I don't care. Nah. That's what they're there. That's what they're there for. But yeah, some bands, man, you gotta drink their shit.
Yeah. Well, I like. For me, it depends on the band too. Like if I know somebody is really into craft beer, I'll bring them a bunch because I know that they're not going to get it at the venue. So I'll bring them whatever they're into. If they're into sours or stouts or something like that, I'll bring it in.
Yeah. Trevor, he makes beer. The other guitar player in Pelican. You should definitely talk to him. He probably could even nerd out way more than I can. I guess I'm kind of a what do you call it? I'm kind of an amateur when it comes to that stuff.
True.
I mean, some of it's rubbed off on me hanging around those dudes, but I'm not quite as particular. As long as it's just beer, I just like good, just solid beer, nothing too sweet. Just
Right. Talk to me a little bit about your perspective on what's going on in the world today, and do you get into the politics at all?
Dealing with my dad getting sick and becoming a dad, and then losing my dad a few months ago, a lot of this has kind of been noise to me.
Right.
Honestly, it just seems like a total circus. And it's hard to even tell what's going on as far as watching news, or I just don't even feel like how do you don't have the time to get properly informed. I feel like I don't have the energy. And then when I do, I just get mad. And it's like, what can I do about it? I don't know. Right now I'm kind of hand to mouth and just taking care of my daughter, making sure she's, healthy, and hopefully she's going to grow up to be a good human. I think that's the best thing I can do for the world, is not, turn out another, crummy human into the world,
Right. That's super important. People don't really realize that.
Because I feel very powerless about a lot of that stuff, honestly. I try not to be too pessimistic, but yeah, I don't know, man. I think technology's just taking over everything. It just doesn't seem like there's an end in sight in that.
Oh, no, dude. I posted an article yesterday on Facebook about Facebook itself, actually. I think it was Facebook or Google, one of the two, but I think they're all the same at this point. They created an AI. They have two AIs, actually, and they were communicating with each other in a different language that nobody knows.
Yeah. Yeah, see, that sounds crazy. There was a podcast, was it Sam Harris? He was on a podcast talking about, and this is a while back, so this is probably obsolete what he was talking about, but it was said that there's this mega computer, and it's just like this black box. And it's like the most powerful computer that's ever been built, and it's so powerful they're afraid to hook it up to the internet. They're afraid to give it an internet connection. They're afraid of what it would do. If they saw
2001: The Space Odyssey, I would be afraid too.
Yeah, and so it's Terminator 2. It's like, what? Yeah. James Cameron back in the 80s had this stuff to predict this. Who thought? Yeah, I don't know, man. I feel like it's out of control, and I don't really know what to do about it, man. I do feel like there's a lot of I think things are moving backwards in a way sometimes too, because we posted up a benefit for the ACLU, mm-hmm. and we got a bunch of hate and shit for that, online, and it's like, leave politics out of music, just play your music, but it's kind of funny. It's just like, yeah, but don't you want the freedom of speech? It's like, this is an organization that gives you the right to shit on our page, Yeah. It's like, so I go, okay, I guess you have the right to do that. But yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know.
And that's a bullshit sentiment, though. Like, politics make music sometimes, like punk music. You know what I mean? A lot of punk music is anti-establishment. All that bullshit. Like, you have to be.
I kind of like music from all spectrums. I mean, I like gospel, and I'm not really religious, Right. And I like satanic heavy metal, but I'm not satanic, It's like, and there's a couple, and I'll have to say, there's a couple Ted Nugent songs I'll like, yeah, but I don't agree with his politics, So yeah, I can separate music and politics personally. Like that's why I like music. I feel like it's kind of it can be a great unifier, And I guess, but if someone has a politic I don't agree with and I like the song, I'm not gonna, and I feel like listening to it, I'm gonna listen to it.
Yeah, it's up to the listener, really, not up to the band performing it. Like, I'm the most accepting, diverse person. I mean, I'm a mix of a bunch of different races, and I went to go see David Allan Coe live because I like his music.
David Allan Coe.
And that dude's got the most racist songs I've ever heard.
Oh yeah, my dad, he was. This is a long time. He went over to his house. His girlfriend at the time was friends with his girlfriend or wife or something a long time ago. Yeah. In Nashville, and they went over there. He said he had this huge house, and like his living room was just a TV and like a recliner, and then like there was like a little, and over on the side there was like a little seat, but there wasn't much in his house. But he had this big ass house with not much furniture in it. If I remember the story correctly, maybe I'm making it up. I don't know.
Well, I mean, he did seem like a simple kind of guy. But anyway, I wanted to thank you for taking some time out of your day, man, and talking to me. If people wanted to reach you, social media, stuff like that, Pelican Song is for the band, at Pelican Song.
I think, yeah.
So yeah, do you have an Instagram for people if they wanted to follow you around and stalk your life?
I don't. Ash Chapel does. Right. Pelican does. Southern Lord, maybe, tag Southern Lord on that too. Yeah.
Awesome. And then, so yeah, toured in the fall with Inner Arma and J Jail. New album hopefully next year.
Yeah, hopefully we can keep, we're not going to force anything. But yeah, it's, as of now, if we can keep momentum going, we should hopefully have a record out, or at least record it next year and have it out as soon as we can on Southern Lord. That's the plan right now.
Awesome, dude. Yeah, I might hit up the San Diego show. It's in the middle of the week, so it makes it a little difficult for me, but I might.
Okay.
It's about a 2-hour drive for me. It's not too terrible.
Oh, okay.
So,
yeah, hit me up, man.
I'll hit you up, and maybe get Adam to come with me. He lives down there, and we'll go check you out.
Cool, man.
All right, brother. Thanks again for your time.
All right, dude.
All right, cheers.
All right, bye.